Hello, everyone. This is Khalil Nichols, aka Khalil Masi, and I'm here to bring you my English 151 finals assignment, a timeline of modern entertainment, media consumption, and convergence past, present, and future. Um, the following information is called from several articles concerning the history and evolution of entertainment technology, from its origins to the present day. I'll go through this history, and at the end, I'll present my theory on the future of media consumption as we move further into the 21st century and beyond. So, in the early history of human storytelling, humans sat around a campfire and told stories about gods, myths, legends, monsters to inspire, teach, and entertain each other. These were the first dramas. In West Africa, one of the names of the people who told these stories were the griots, or also were called griots, or also the Jali. Fast forward to Europe and Asia. In ancient Greece, there were theatrical productions known as the tragedies, like Electra, Antigone, and Hercules. And in Britain, the most popular playwright was William Shakespeare, who wrote legendary plays such as Hamlet, Othello, and Romeo and Juliet. Now, since the early 1850s, fast forward, there have been experimentation in early moving pictures. American inventor Thomas Edison invents the kinetoscope in 1891. The kinetoscope was a device where images were shown looking through peepholes. Another invention, the phenakitoscope, was created in 1832. This device consisted of a disc with images of successive phases of movement on it, which could be spun to simulate movement. Later, the zoopraxiscope was developed by photographer Edward Muybridge in 1879, which projected a series of images of successive phases of movement. These images were obtained through the use of multiple cameras. The invention of the camera in the Edison laboratories in 1888, though, was capable of recording successive images in a single camera and was a more practical, cost-effective breakthrough that influenced all subsequent motion picture devices. Now, Edward Muybridge visited Edison's laboratory in West Orange, New Jersey in February of that year, 1888, and that visit stimulated Edison to invent a motion picture camera. Muybridge proposed that he and Edison collaborate and combine the zoopraxiscope with another Edison invention, the photograph, but Edison declined. Edison files his patent in October 1788, describing his advice for a device which would do for the eye what the phonograph does for the ear, record and produce objects in motion. Following this, the first short motion pictures arrived in the 1890s. Early motion picture emphasized just movement, no sound, usually no plot, no story, none of the things we see today, just movement. One of the earliest movie shorts was a collection of 15 to 30-second scenarios created by the Lumiere brothers in France. The first movie shows lasted 5 to 8 minutes and were a collection of these short stories. A train moving in a station, a man watering his garden, men playing cards, people getting off a ferry boat, and a street vendor selling his wares. Let's talk about the rise of Hollywood. Filmmakers such as D.W. Griffith and others wanted to move beyond the simple formula that characterized the industry in the early 1900s. Industry owners were resistant. They wanted to keep everything to one-reelers and to very limited storytelling. These owners monopolized and controlled the industry through patents on key machinery and cameras and through control over distribution, meaning how the product gets to you. Filmmakers looking for freedom of expression left the East Coast, here, New York, New Jersey, and moved to the West Coast and created Hollywood. Hollywood was originally here, everyone. Hollywood was originally here. Filmmakers began to experiment with longer films, and Griffith produced the first successful full-length feature film, the infamous Birth of a Nation, which was a racist propaganda film. It cost $100,000 to make, and it brought in $18 million, which was astronomical during that time period. It ran over 3 hours, was popular, controversial, and racist propaganda, and made Griffith one of the leading directors in America. The television. Mechanical television came in the 1800s and early 1900s prior to the electric television. They involved mechanically scanning images, then transmitting those images onto a screen. German inventor Paul Gottlieb Nipkow developed the first mechanical television. Now that's an interesting concept. I wasn't aware of that before. It sent images through wires using a rotating metal disc. Instead of calling the device a television, it was called an electric telescope. In 1907, two inventors, Russian Boris Rosing and English A. Campbell Swinton, combined a cathode ray tube with a mechanical scanning system to create a totally new television system. This was the world's electrical television and the precursor to what we see behind us right here, right now. The first electronic television. The first electronic television was created in 1927 by the 21-year-old inventor named Philo Taylor Farnsworth. Between 1926 and 1931, mechanical television inventors continued to test their creations. However, they all became obsolete due to modern electrical televisions. By 1934, all TVs had been converted into the electronic system. All early television systems transmitted footage in black and white. Color TV, however, was first theorized way back in 1904. The first television stations in America. The world's first television stations first started to appear in America in the late 1920s and early 1930s. The first mechanical TV station was W3XK. It was created by Charles Francis Jenkins. W3XK aired its first broadcast on July 2nd, 1928. One of the world's first television stations, RGB, has the honor of being the world's only continuously operating station since 1926 to the modern era. America's first commercially produced television sets were based on a mechanical television system made by John Baird's Television Designs. These sets were shown off to the public in September 1928. It would take until 1938 before American electronic television sets were produced and released commercially. The first remote control for television sets was called the telezoom. The telezoom was used only to zoom into the pictures in the television. It was released in 1948, and it couldn't change channels or turn the television on or off. The first true remote control was produced by Zenith and released in 1955. The remote control could turn the television off and on, and it was completely wireless. Of course, the precursor to this device right here. The first television program in America. Today, American networks play thousands of different programs every day. All of these programs owe its existence to America's first television program, which was called The Queen's Messenger. This program was shown in 1928 by WRGB station. We haven't even gotten to this time period yet. Color television in America. Color television traces its roots as far back as 1904, when a German inventor received a patent for it. However, that inventor did not actually have a working color television. He didn't even have it yet in physical reality. A conceptualized color television system appeared in 1925 by inventor Vladimir Zworykin. This system was never converted into reality either. Color television did not appear for another 20 years until 1946. The Color Television Wars. CBS was the first company to create a television set. The drawback was that it was a mechanical television. It was based on John Baird's original design. It was not compatible with black and white TV sets that were already in existence across America. Despite this, the FCC declared that the CBS color television was going to be the national standard. RCA protested, said that it was unfair to make CBS color TV the standard when it couldn't even be used by millions of consumers. Most people owned RCA televisions. RCA continued to develop their own color television system that will be compatible with its customers' RCA sets. In 1953, the FCC acknowledged that RCA color television system was better. Starting in 1954, RCA TV's systems were sold across America. Color TV had a similar initial problem as 3D TV and other technologies that came later. People owned the color TV technology, but broadcasters weren't producing color TV content. Few people owned color TV sets between 1954 and 1965. However, starting in 1966, color TV program was broadcast across America, leading to a surge in sales of color television sets, which of course is now the standard. Timeline of TV history between 1950s and 2000s. 1951, on June 21st, CBS broadcasted the first color television program. 1952, by the end of 1952, TVs could be found in 20 million households across America. 1953, RCA releases its color broadcasting television system, which worked on 12 million TVs. 1958, 525 cable TV systems across America served 450,000 subscribers. 1963, for the first time in history, television surpasses newspapers as an information source. 1964, the FCC regulates cable for the first time. 1965, NBC calls the full color network. NBC calls itself the full color network and broadcasts 96% of its programming in color. 1979, ESPN, a network totally devoted to sports, debuts on cable. 1980, Ted Turner launches CNN, cable network news. 1989, pay-per-view begins to leave its mark on the television landscape, reaching over 20% of all wire households. 1996, digital satellites dishes 18 inches in diameter hit the market, becoming the best-selling electronic item in history next to the VCR. 2000, the digital video disc, DVD, is introduced. 2005, flat screen TVs and HD TVs are introduced for the first time. 2006, Sony releases its Blu-ray disc format capable of holding up to 27 gigabytes despite being the same size as a DVD. And this is a Blu-ray disc compatible device. 2010, 3D television starts hitting the market, spurred by popular 3D blockbusters like Avatar. Home viewing recording. All right. In 1965, Eastman Kodak released the Super 8mm film format into the market. It was a huge technological leap up from previous machines and allowed for shortened versions of movies to be played at home. So now the content that we viewed in theaters, now we could watch at home. May 10th, 1975, Sony releases Betamax to the Japanese market. The world of home viewing entertainment will begin its transformation. Laserdisc. A few years after the Betamax and VHS tapes entered the market, the first commercial optical disc storage medium became available to the public. Laserdisc technology was invented by David Paul Gregg and James Russell back in 1958 and was first patented in 1961. All of this is still before I was born. It would be the MCA DiscoVision that first put the Laserdisc on North American shelves. It was released in 1978, and Jaws would be the first movie offered in this new format. And I remember when Jaws first came out. I'm old enough to remember that. The digital video disc was invented in 1995 by Philips, Sony, Toshiba, and Panasonic. It was introduced in the United States in 1997, but did not dominate the market until the early 2000s. Look how old that is. June 15, 2003 would make the beginning of DVD rentals outnumbering VHS. HD DVD had more titles available than Blu-ray, and the first wave of Blu-ray players did not inspire consumer confidence. Buyers felt the machines were buggy and too expensive. But by 2007, Blu-ray began outselling HD DVDs, and soon Blu-rays were selling 2 discs for every one HD DVD. Major studios soon stopped releasing their movies on HD DVD. Warner Brothers was the last major studio to release their films on HD DVD and Blu-ray. Streaming, which is very popular now, particularly with COVID-19, being locked in, binge watching. Movie streaming revolutionized the home entertainment experience. The basis for the technology goes all the way back to the early 1920s, when George O. Squier acquired the patents for a system that transmitted and distributed signals over electrical lines. It was not until the late 80s that personal computers started to become powerful enough to realize its potential. In 1995, Microsoft developed Active Movie, which allowed people to stream media from their computers. In 1999, Apple would introduce QuickTime 4, and from there the technology started to grow rapidly. By 2002, Adobe Flash had been adopted as the most widely used format for streaming content. See, and we're not even up to 2020 yet. On February 14th, 2005, three former PayPal employees launched their own small internet company named YouTube. Netflix originally opened in 1997 as an online rental business. People would rent films from their site, and Netflix mailed them the physical DVD. And I remember when they had that box sitting outside, just like the candy and the cookies and the sodas all of a sudden in the vending machine. That was originally how Netflix sold their product. In 2007, Netflix would start their movie streaming service, and by 2010, they had become the largest evening internet traffic source in North America. Today, almost every movie studio, television station, or movie rental show offers to stream some portion of their video libraries. Media and COVID-19. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a huge surge in TV watching and online streaming, according to media watchdog Ofcom. Its annual study into UK media habits suggested adults spent 40% of their waking hours in front of a screen. At the height of lockdown, adults spent an average of 6 hours and 25 minutes a day in front of their televisions. People watching streaming services such as Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, and Disney Plus for 1 hour, 11 minutes per day, and 12 million people joined a service they had not used previously. 3 million of these viewers had never subscribed to any service before. Now, the majority of consumers signed up to Netflix, Amazon Prime, and although Disney Plus overtook Now TV as a third popular pay-for streaming system. Also, 1/3 of 55 to 64-year-olds and 50% of people age 65 plus use subscription services in the early weeks of lockdown. It's a lot of people. AR and VR. What is virtual reality? Virtual reality, VR, is the use of computer technology to create a simulated environment. Unlike traditional user interfaces, VR places the user inside an experience. Instead of viewing a screen in front of them, like this one, users are immersed and able to interact with 3D worlds by simulating as many senses as possible, such as vision, hearing, touch, and even smell. The computer is transformed into a gatekeeper to the artificial world. The only limits to near real VR experiences are the availability of content and cheap computing power. Now, what's the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality? Virtual reality and augmented reality are two sides of the same coin. Think of augmented reality as VR with one foot in the real world. Augmented reality simulates artificial objects in the real environment. Virtual reality creates an artificial environment to inhabit. Now, fake news. Fake news is broadly defined as false or misleading information masquerading as legitimate news. Since the 2016 U.S. presidential election, there was a deliberate spread of online misinformation, in particular on social media platforms such as Twitter and Facebook. In large part, this interest reflects a deeper concern that the prevalence of fake news has increased political polarization, decreased trust in public institutions, and undermined democracy. The future. As we continue to move forward in the midst of COVID-19, viewing habits have changed. Some people have been forced to stay home, not travel, not work, and home-based entertainment has become a mainstay. Social media platforms such as Zoom and TikTok have been integrated into popular television programs such as The Voice, America's Got Talent, and TMZ. Habits such as the increase of home-based viewing and binge watching will be here to stay as many movie theaters shut down due to lack of business from COVID-19, the lockdown and isolation practices nationally and internationally. Now, Warner Brothers just announced it will be releasing all of its current slate of films to streaming, which will further cause people to, want to stay in and watch their stuff on their home devices and such forth. I think the big, expensive tentpole films will continue to be shown in specialized theaters outfitted for experience such as IMAX, 3D, VR, and AR, which people will attend on special occasions like theme parks. For those who still want to go out, drive-in theaters have also become popular again. Now, movies will also become audience participatory, where people will be able to individually or collectively choose the path of the story at various junctures. Now, as technology advances, VR and AR will advance to the level of what we see in the popular Star Trek franchise, where you can visit a Halo deck and actually take part in a story of your choosing. Or even take a vacation in an exotic locale, or go to another planet, or whatever else is that you feel like doing. Perhaps, even as Star Trek suggests, the actual production of films and television as we know it may become obsolete in human evolution, and all entertainment will take place on a holodeck. Perhaps even we'll be able to plug into experiences like Neo in the Matrix film series, and be able to download skills and experiences and learn new things that we've never before. In my opinion, the sky is the limit, or should I say the technology is the limit. And the only thing that is stopping us is our own will and imagination. This is Khalil Masi.